Hello and welcome, Melanie. Thank you so much for coming on the Soul Aligned Self-Care podcast. I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Thanks for having me, Tina.
Oh, we broke up a little bit. Can you hear me
Oh,
okay?
yes, I can hear you. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
excellent. Excellent. So to get started, could you just tell me a little bit about yourself and then start moving into tapping or what we call EFT, emotional freedom technique? Is that correct?
Sure, yes. So my name's Melanie Moore. I am a life coach, mindset coach, and I like to help women at crossroads in their lives. Um, and the tools that I like to help people with are vision boarding, visualization, and tapping, because first you've got to have a vision of what you want your new chapter of your life to look like, but then also the mindset tools that you need to help you through the ups and downs of life. You know, life provides us with so many challenges. I feel that I lived through a lot of them, and tapping has been the tool that's just kept me sane. And yeah, so I've been an EFT practitioner for over 10 years now. I actually
Wow.
started off my holistic therapy practice doing Reiki and reflexology, helping women with their pregnancy and their childbirth journey. And then I discovered tapping, which for me, because women who were going through fertility issues and childbirth and pregnancy had a lot of emotional issues. And I found that tapping was a wonderful tool that helped, cut through to a lot of core issues. And as my practice grew, as my business grew, I then kind of wanted to help people more in a kind of a workshop setting. So I I kind of started my business went online. I started doing tapping videos on YouTube, and I don't have a one-to-one therapy practice anymore. In fact, I'd say there's a probably a 60% split of my audience being overseas, and with that 40% being in the UK, which is where I live. So yeah, my business has really evolved over the years, but at the core of it now is tapping. My business is called Tapping Into Your Big Vision. And one of my beliefs is that I really believe that we can create a tapping video for literally anything that's going on in our lives. And that's how I like my clients to challenge me. What do you want me to create a tapping video on? And yeah, and I think that's probably how most people find me these days from my YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Yes, that's how I found you. And I am a big fan. And I
Oh, thank
recommend
you.
your videos to a lot of my clients because you have a very soothing voice, which is helpful. And I like how you have shorter tapping videos, so they're not too long. And if I'm trying to get somebody to try something,
We're busy,
starting
aren't
off,
we? We're busy.
yeah. Yeah. So it always is better, even with like meditation too. Same thing. If you start off with shorter periods of time, it's people are more likely to take part in it, right? So for people out there, for the listeners out there that don't even know what tapping is, could you explain what that is?
Of course, yeah. So tapping, its official title is emotional freedom technique. So it's known as EFT or tapping for short, because we use our fingertips to tap on certain acupressure points on our face and our body. And it's often described as acupuncture without needles because it's got its roots in traditional Chinese medicine. The acupressure points are related to points that come from Chinese medicine, and and so it's a cross between acupuncture and modern day psychology, because it's a talking therapy as well, and it can be used for so many different things: for phobias, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, for insomnia. I think that's how a lot of people get introduced to tapping. And I often like to share that, here in the UK, there's a big airline called EasyJet, and they run a 2-day fear of flying course. And it's to help people overcome their flying phobia. On the first day, they just do tapping all day long. It's the modality they found that had the biggest shift for people with phobias. So, some people come across and think, oh, it's a bit strange, it's a little bit woo-woo. But, I say if a company like EasyJet can put their money where their mouth is and run a course I think it's got about 80% success rate. We've moved way past woo-woo. This has got its roots in science.
Yeah.
And it's effective. You know, people who try it, I don't think there's been a person, even, you know, real skeptics who I know, I said, come on, just give it a go. They find immediate benefit. They cannot deny that they feel a bit more relaxed, a bit more soothed. So yeah, I'm willing. I love trying to convert the skeptics.
Yeah, and I love that. I didn't know that. That's actually that's very interesting. There's tons of people that have a fear of flying. I myself used to be one of them. I don't have trouble with it anymore. I also read a little bit, I don't remember when this was, or where it was. I wish I could remember that there's a lot of people, like famous people, like performers, when they go out on stage, they use different tapping techniques. And
Yes.
there was even a picture of someone like doing tapping with their fingers while they were performing on stage. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. So it could be really, really helpful for those types of things too, like public speaking, or like you said, almost anything. So I know
Absolutely.
for a fact when I first started doing tapping, one of the things I always wondered about, so I'm going to ask you a few of these questions, is I see different people doing tapping in different ways. Does it really matter the order or how you do it or which tapping points you hit? Does it really make a big difference? Because I see people using like two hands sometimes, and I see some people use one hand. There's the different points where you tap. Some people use the ones that you see over and over again. I guess, you know, like the eyes, below the nose,
Mm-hmm.
the chin, and then on the collarbones. Um, I always call this the bra point, like
Underarm. Yep.
under your arm with the bra and on the top of the head. But I see
Yep.
sometimes people skip certain ones, like the one under the arm. I see people skip sometimes. Does it really matter?
Not really. Not really.
Yeah.
I like to go, well, this is the classic formula going through all the
Okay.
points that you just described. You know, this was as was taught by Gary Craig, kind of, you know, the founder of tapping. But sometimes if I'm driving or if I'm a bit stressed, you know, you can't really do a full round of tapping when you're driving. I might just tap on my collarbones if I'm a bit
Mm-hmm.
stressed in traffic. Um, or you can do these fingertip points as well, finger bed points. They're a bit more
Yes.
discreet, say if you're, you know, on a train or you're somewhere in
Performing.
public. Or there's the touch and breathe technique where you literally touch the points and you breathe and you can just say the statements internally. And sometimes, you know, you might just want to just do the karate chop point. And
Mm-hmm.
each of these points, they do relate to a different emotion in traditional Chinese medicine. And that's why we often go through all the points, because they can be related to overthinking, they can be related to fear, guilt, shame, anxiety. And there's different points. And I must admit, I kind of forget which point is which.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I go through all the points. That way we can't miss anything out. That's when I do a proper round of tapping. But I think there's a lot of power in just the words that are used as well. For me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
my clients often call me the language police. I really monitor people's language and their words, because our words, particularly the ones we use towards ourselves, are so powerful. They're, you know, um, that I don't know if this is true or not, but we talk about, you know, words and spellings, and actually it's a bit like
Yes.
casting a spell on ourselves, a good
Yes.
spell. and
Yes.
and I do really believe that the words have extraordinary power, and that, you know, coupled with one or two of the acupressure points, is extremely helpful. And sometimes just saying the words without
Mm-hmm.
tapping can be really powerful as well.
So when you're doing tapping, I know just from doing it myself that a lot of times you're working through um, a specific order of the way you use the words. And so a lot of times you're talking about, say you have a phobia, for as
Mhm.
just to use that as an example, you're going to talk about the phobia you have. And so you're going to
Yeah.
make those statements, and then you're going to kind of, I don't know if reverse is the right word. Maybe you have a better way of explaining it.
I call it it's like a triple layer sandwich. So the
Mhm.
first part is acknowledging the problem. And a lot of people say, you know, why are you focusing on the problem? Isn't that, you know, by law of attraction, you're just making it worse? And it's like, well, no, it's acknowledging it. You're bringing it up to the surface. You know, even though I have this fear of flying or driving or spiders or whatever,
Mhm.
I choose to love and accept myself. And then, you know, for the first round, we'd be like, even though I have this fear, it's keeping me awake at night, it's causing me anxiety, it's making my heart race, this phobia, you know, it's going round and round in my head. We're acknowledging it, we're addressing it.
Mhm.
And then the next round will be, I'm ready to let it go now. I choose to let go of this fear. I'm letting go of this fear of flying. I'm letting go of the way spiders make me feel. I'm letting go of all this anxiety, all this trauma in my body. I'm letting it go now. So the second round is about letting go. And the third round is, this is when we infuse the positive. This is like, I choose to know that I'm safe, that I'm okay with flying, that I choose to know that I'm safe when I fly. And I choose to know it's the safest mode of transport. And I choose to feel confident. I choose to feel happy and positive about this. And maybe I can even enjoy the experience. So the third round is all about the positivity and bringing in the affirmation of what it is we want. So I always like to end a round of tapping on the positive. So you're actually feeling good about that thing, that phobia, the trauma. And yeah, and that's really it. It's acknowledging it, letting it go, and then infusing in the positive affirmation.
That's explained perfectly. And also, I really appreciate you explaining that the different points are really focused on different feelings. And so that explains like a lot to
I can
me.
send you a little chart afterwards, actually,
Oh,
which you can,
cool.
yeah, which
Yeah, I would like
explains it
that.
in
That
more
would be really
detail.
cool. So I didn't know that, and that's really good to know. And I like the way you explained it. And then the next question would be, for the people out there, like, how long do you need to do this? I know when you start off, you kind of have like a starting off point, like, how am I feeling right now, right? And
Yeah.
so is that how long you decide to do it, when you start feeling better?
Yes, I always say just tap for as long as it feels good to tap. You know, if you feel that you need a little bit more relief, then you might want to do the round again. And I have different types of tapping as well. Sometimes it's just a motivational one, just to get your day started, just to get you feeling good and motivated and telling yourself, you know, I can do this. And you might just need that one round that just gets you out of bed and gets you into taking action. When it's something like a phobia or say public speaking, choosing to identify, you know, you all your life you may have identified as somebody who is not very confident when it comes to public speaking, has a lot of anxiety. Um, and I do actually, I do have a tapping video for communication. And it's just to, yes, you could do one that, you know, because everyone gets a little bit nervous if they have to do some public speaking. So you might just have to do, depending on your level of anxiety around it, you might just, you know, one round before you get on stage might be enough. But if it's a crippling anxiety, and if you say you've never spoken on stage before, but you've been asked to speak at an event and you're like, oh my God, I cannot do this. I can't do this. This just fills me with dread. You might need to tap on it, say for a month. But if there's a desire to want to do the thing, you can work on it. And it's just rewiring a neural pathway in your brain that is going to tell you, I can do this. And sometimes it might take 30, 60, you know, maybe even 90 days to almost, this is what I love the most about tapping, how you can literally change your identity. You can, one minute you can identify as somebody who is nervous, anxious, but say if you want to have more confidence in your life, and I think confidence, self-belief, these are things that, you know, hold so many people back in changing their lives, in doing the things they've always wanted to, because they're just scared. They don't feel brave enough.
Mhm.
And but if the desire is there, then tapping is such a wonderful tool to help you make that shift from that person who can't do it, who's scared, afraid, anxious, who'd like, you know, I can do this. And I've heard so
Yeah.
many stories of people who will just change their story through daily tapping.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely could speak on that for myself, because I used to have panic attacks when I was driving, and it
Mm,
wasn't something that instantaneously helped me, because it was such a powerful experience the first time that happened to me. After I had that first panic attack while driving, which was terrifying,
mm,
after I experienced that, then the fear was that it was going to happen again. It wasn't really like
Yeah.
the panic attack itself. It was like the fear of that happening again while I was driving. And so it took a while, like for me to really work through that. It wasn't like this instantaneous thing, but you could also, and that's why I wanted you to have you on the podcast, because I talk about deep level self-care, but I also talk about things that we could do every day to take care of ourselves. And you talked about using it as like a motivation to start your day and stuff like that. And you could do these little things, or you could use it to relax before you go to bed. Or if you know you're going to be stepping into a stressful situation or a situation where you're feeling some type of anxiety, you can use it before that. And I think you talked about the first part where you acknowledge, you're acknowledging what the fear is. I think that's really important, because acknowledgement is always where you start when you're trying to change something about yourself. It's almost like it's your starting point, and then you're deciding where you want to go. So it's almost like you're setting a GPS, right? If you're in New York and you want to go to California, you can't omit the part that you're starting in New York. You have to put in that part. Otherwise, you're never going to get to California, right? So it's like that acknowledgement is like your starting point. And there's a lot of power, I think, in acknowledging your fears or the things that you're anxious about or anything. There's so much power in that.
Absolutely. And acceptance as well. It's acknowledging and accepting. And
Yes. Yeah.
often the first phrase in tapping is, even though I have this worry, even though I'm feeling guilty, even though I have this craving for, sugar right now, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. It's just like, we're loving and accepting what is, even though I have this, problem,
Yeah.
I'm loving and accepting it,
Yes.
without shame, without guilt. And because there are so many emotions that are wrapped up around the problem,
Mhm.
and we end up beating ourselves up over it. And and that love and acceptance of it is so powerful. I've got two teenagers, and I've been tapping with them since they were really tiny. And I think, and I love that. I love tapping with children. It's so powerful. And if children can just say that phrase, I love and accept myself, regardless of,
Mhm.
whatever, it's such a valuable tool for them to take through their lives, because I think that lack of self-love ends up can end up causing so many destructive, self-sabotaging behaviors, when we don't love ourselves. And it sounds like such a corny phrase, but it's so important. And being somebody who is in the art of, in the business of helping people with self-love and self-care, the importance of this, that
Mhm.
that when we love ourselves, we will take, there's that classic phrase, that we take care of the things that we love,
Mhm.
and often we don't really take that much good care of ourselves, because because of the stories, because of the feelings and the stuff that kind of gets in the way.
Yeah, it's almost like the programming that we receive from when we're young children. And I love that you do that with you. You were able to like raise your children that way. That's huge, I think. And
I
the
had to
fact,
practice on someone.
well, yeah, it's huge to be able to teach children to love themselves, because what they learn out in the world is to do the opposite, to judge themselves, to be hard on themselves, to not support themselves, not to accept exactly how they are, and both little boys and little girls. But it is very like the outward appearance thing with girls is even worse, it's, and so learning to deeply love and support yourself when you're younger would be that would be life changing for, I think, like the planet, just because
Oh,
most of us do not
absolutely.
ever learn how to do that. And if you learn how to love and support and accept yourself exactly as you are, and at the same time want more for yourself, right, and
Thank
grow
you.
and expand, then you could put the best version of yourself into the world, into your relationships, into your parenting, into your business, whatever. um, if you can't love and accept yourself, you're only putting a small fraction of yourself into the world of who
Mm,
you deeply and truly are. So
Yeah.
I think it's almost foundational to really for relationships, for just for self, just for growth and everything. It's foundational to be able to love yourself and accept yourself exactly as you are. So doing the work that you do is absolutely life-changing for people, I believe. And um, I guess what I want to step into next is maybe you could tell people how to get started and how they can find you.
So you know, as I said earlier, I do believe we can find a tapping video for everything. Um, and I aim to put, you know, new videos on my YouTube channel, you know, regularly. Um, one of my most popular, actually, funny enough, two of my most popular ones are one to start the day, which is tapping for a great start to the day, which it's setting your intention for the day. And I find that when we can set our intentions, that's just kind of, you almost like telling the universe in advance, you know, waking up, you know, today's going to be a great day. And
Mhm.
because often we can kind of get out of bed and think, oh, it's January, it's cold, I'm
Yeah.
broke, and I'm
Yeah.
this and I'm that, and it's just like, oh, that's not a very good way to start the day, is it? So if well, what if I just go to set my mindset that today is going to be a great day? And so that's one of my most popular. That's a great one to start with, you know.
Hmm.
Just give it a go to see how you feel afterwards. And my other really popular one is tapping for a good night's sleep, because a lot of people have sleep issues.
Yes.
And so many people have found me through that one, and they actually say, oh my gosh, you know, I was couldn't sleep, scrolling through YouTube, find your video, and oh my gosh, I've had the best night's sleep for years. And they write lovely messages on my YouTube channel, you know, to come back and thank me for um this tool. And it's just, again, it's the language. The language of that tapping video is I choose to have a good night's sleep. I choose to feel calm. I choose to feel relaxed. Because usually when we can't sleep, the story we're running in our head is, I can't sleep. So the universe will say, okay, then
Yeah.
that's what we're going to give you.
You
You know,
got it. Yeah.
and I actually did one tapping video with my daughter. Well, she's 16 now, so she was 8 years old at the time, and it was quite funny actually, because the video starts on its side and then I have to correct it. And it was tapping with my daughter, and that's one of the things I used to love doing with her when she was younger, just to tell her that I'm safe and I'm loved and I choose to have a good night's sleep. And the number of people who've messaged me, and because I put it on YouTube ages ago, before it was only really kind of around 2020 that I thought, right, I'm going to actively grow my channel now. I just used to put random videos here and there. And I went, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
that's had a lot of views, that video. And people would say, oh my God, my son, my daughter won't go to sleep unless they've tapped with Bonnie.
Oh, I love that.
And my daughter, she went through a phase of, can you take that video down? And I said, I can't, it's too popular.
That's so funny. I love that. I haven't seen that one. Now I'm gonna go search it out.
I
That's
think it's
great. So,
something like tapping with your children at bedtime or something, or yeah, something like that.
okay. All right. So those are you new, so they could find you on YouTube. So I'll put a link in the show notes so that they could find you on there. Now I know that you have a membership, don't you?
I do, yes, I
Yes.
do. It's called the Tapping into Your Big Vision members community. And this started about 4 years ago, because I actually used to, when I started my online business, I used to have a program called Tapping into Abundance. I still do, actually. It's a program called Tapping into Abundance, because one of the things, so tapping is great for anxiety and um, releasing blocks and all that kind of stuff. And I only used to really do tapping with women, supporting them through childbirth. But when my marriage ended, gosh, 8, 9 years ago, you know, facing life as a single parent, dealing with all the bills and, you know, raising kids on my own, I had big financial anxiety that suddenly, you know, descended upon me. And
Hmm.
then I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if I could tap on my financial anxiety. So anyway, long story short, this whole kind of new thing was born out of my business, because I'm very, you know, much into law of attraction, manifesting money. You know, one of
Hmm.
my big fun stories that I love to share is that when I used to kind of work in my corporate career. I used to do IT recruitment and headhunting in London. My children were just born and I wanted to start my own holistic therapy practice, but I needed to manifest the money. So I just read The Secret and I was just kind of into this law of attraction. And I thought, I'm going to manifest money. I need to manifest money so that I can leave my job and start my own business. Anyway, to cut a really long story short, this is kind of how I got really into visualization as well. I would visualize being on a game show, and it was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which was, I think it was popular all over the world.
Yeah.
And I put out this intention that I needed £20,000. So anyway, I was like, how can this money come to me? So I applied to be on the game show. I visualized being on the show every day because I used to work very near the studios where it was filmed. And actually my lunch hour, there was a big poster. It was Elstree Studios, the home of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And I would visualize in my lunch hour, you know, being on the show. Anyway, long story short, I got on the show and I won £20,000.
Get out of here.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
which was the exact amount of money that I'd put out into the universe. So that all these kind of interesting things have happened. And I thought, I'm going to create a program to help people to manifest money. This was kind of what I became known for. But after a kind of couple of years of running this program, I realized there was actually so much more that I was interested in. I was really interested in relationships, helping people to improve relationships, to, you know, get out of toxic relationships, but also to manifest new love. I was really interested in helping people to manifest all sorts of things, their new home, their environment, and also health as well. I'm very into health, nutrition, fitness, and positive aging as well, helping women through perimenopause and menopause. So I thought I need to create a community where I can bring all the stuff in that I love talking about. And each month we go through a different pillar of abundance, health, relationships, and environment. We create vision boards twice a year, but then throughout the month, we have twice monthly Zoom calls where we check in on everybody. And I also love to support women entrepreneurially as well. I think we all, I say all, most people I speak to, they have a special gift or a talent or an experience they've been through that they can help others with, or an artistic side that, you know, that this is where the whole money making thing comes in. I believe we all have gifts and skills that we can monetize. So I love to support women in getting the confidence, because it's all about confidence as well, having the confidence and self-belief to get that business off the ground, to sell their artwork, to teach, to you know, to share their experiences, you know, if they're healers, coaches, authors. And we just need a little more confidence to tell ourselves, I can do this, I can make money of this, I can support myself, I can, you know, I can increase my income. And a lot of people, you know, because a lot of my tapping videos involve manifesting money as well. Because I think
I love your money videos. Yeah, I do.
and it's fun as well, because people think, well, how do you manifest money? And think, well, I can give you thousands of examples of people who've literally manifested money. And it's when we stop thinking of it as being a finite resource, and we know that there are channels of abundance available to all of us, it's literally tapping into those channels of abundance and allowing the universe to present us with opportunities and possibilities, you know, presenting us with ideas and inspiration. You know, inspiration, where does it come from? It comes from when you open your mind to the universe, to the possibilities. And that's when it, you know, if you break down the word inspiration, it's being in spirit, God, source, universe, whatever word you want to call it, has popped an idea in your head. Then it's up to you to take action and bring it out into the world. But then that's when the tapping comes in. Tap into that courage, the self-belief, and you can do this. Let go of the fear of what other people think. Let go of fear of putting yourself out there, and just jolly well do it.
Just do it. Yeah. I tell people all the time, I'm like, don't worry what other people are thinking, because they're just worrying about themselves. Nobody's thinking about you.
Nope.
I was like, just do it, and do it wrong if you have to. Make as many mistakes as possible. And it took me it took me so long to step into that. Like I didn't step into that until I was in my 40s, you know? And so when I see somebody in their 20s stepping into that, I'm like, yes, I love that for you. You know, like if I have two daughters, when I see them stepping into themselves, and I think the younger generation, I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel like they do a better job at it than the older generation. So I feel like this is improving over time. And so
Yeah,
I
it's
love,
evolution, isn't it?
yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see. I love seeing that in my daughters. My youngest is 23. She'd be mortified right now, me talking about her, but yeah, she's powerful, and I love it because when I was her age, I didn't have as much power. Like I had maybe like a little tip of my pinky power that she has, and so
I couldn't agree
I'm
more.
always amazed. Yeah, I'm always amazed by them. So
I don't know if
you
it's a
did a
girl thing.
beautiful job explaining your membership. You did such a beautiful job. Like I feel like everyone's going to want to join you in that. So maybe we could put a link in the show notes for that
Oh,
also,
thank
so
you.
they could connect with you that way. Other than YouTube and your membership, could they find you on social media also? Where do you hang out?
Yeah, mostly Instagram these days and
Okay.
Facebook. Probably a bit more. I use Facebook for my community, have Facebook groups.
Okay.
I have a free Facebook group, and but yeah, Instagram. I love to respond to DMs and connect. Probably the most quickest way. Probably spend a bit too much time on Instagram, but
Yeah,
um,
same. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll put that in the show notes also. I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing yourself with all the listeners today. It's been such a pleasure talking with you.
oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.